Hello and welcome back to this series on botany syllabus analysis and discussion of topics. Today we are going to explore gymnosperms, their topics and what is important and what is not. In the end of the video, I am also going to discuss with you what will be the good sources to study and prepare gymnosperm for your civil service and Indian Forest Service main examination. But before we get into the syllabus, a quick introduction to gymnosperms. The gymnosperms are certainly amongst the most glorious plants that you have on the earth today. The gymnospermous biome, that is known as taiga, at present is the largest contiguous forest in the world. If you see the world map of biomes, you will notice that the taiga biome is the single largest contiguous forest biome. It is just south of the Arctic. Gymnosperms also have had a very glorious evolutionary history. They were the first seed plant and they dominated the land flora throughout the Carboniferous and Mesozoic. As a matter of fact, they were dominated only after the advent of the angiosperms. In other words, when the angiosperms evolved, they slowly started to spread even in such locations which gymnosperms were not adapted to. And that led to a wider geographical reach of the angiosperms, and slowly today you see the land flora dominated by the angiosperms. Today also gymnosperms are amongst the tallest known trees. They are also amongst the oldest surviving trees in the world. In gymnosperms you have to study both extinct taxa and surviving taxa. Today the gymnosperms are represented by 4 distinct phyla. The phylum of cycads that we know as Cycadophyta, the phylum of conifers that we today know as phylum Pinophyta, the phylum of ginkgo that is known as Gingophyta, and the phylum of Neem, Ephedra and Welwitschia that we know as the phylum Gnetophyta. Apart from that, you can always study a number of extinct gymnosperms. Some of you might be noticing that I am using the word phylum. In modern day biology, be it botany or zoology, the word phylum is being used almost uniformly for both plants and animals. If you prefer going the old school way, there is nothing wrong in it, and you can still use the term divisions. So first what we are going to do is to get a quick introduction of what are the main gymnosperms that we are going to see in our syllabus, the main surviving gymnosperm, and then we will go to the fossil ones. So let us take a look in the full screen mode. So on your screen what you are seeing are some representatives of the phylum Cycadophyta. So this is Cycadophyta, and here one genus that you have to study is Cycas. Cycas and all its relatives are not very tall trees. Their height ranges from as short as 1 meter to a maximum of about 10 to 12 meters, maximum 15 meters. As you can see, most of the cycads have palm tree like appearance. They have a top crown of pinnate compound leaves. They are not very widely distributed, but if you see their distribution, they are more abundant in the tropics compared to the temperate fields. On your screen right now, you have got the conifers. The conifers are the dominant group of gymnosperms, and it is the conifers which dominate the taiga biome. The conifers are tall trees. A number of conifers easily exceed 50 meters of height, and the tallest gymnosperms are also the conifers. And these conifers are not only the tallest among the gymnosperm, but they are tallest amongst all the tree. What you are seeing on your screen right now are the giant redwoods. So the giant redwoods are nothing but coniferous trees, and their height can exceed 100 meters. So you can imagine how massive trees they are. They are abundant in Giant Redwood National Park in northern part of California of United States of America. In the same geographical region, you also have the world's oldest surviving trees. They are bristlecone pines. So you have just now seen through these images one phylum of gymnosperm, that is Cycadophyta, and other phylum of gymnosperm, that is Pinophyta. In the older times, or still there are a number of books which will mention them as Coniferophyta. They are called Coniferophyta because they bear cones. In this image, if you see, this structure is the cone. Cone is the reproductive strobilus. If you are from botany background, you very well know what is the meaning of strobilus. A strobilus is a well-defined aggregation of spore-bearing leaves or sporophylls. The word strobilus is often used in the world of pteridophytes and also pretty much in the world of gymnosperms. After the world of gymnosperms, we stop using the word strobilus. Now, after conifers, you are going to see the members of Gnetophyta. So Gnetophyta in so many ways look like angiospermic trees. If you see, their leaves are pretty much like angiosperm leaves. Angiosperm leaves mostly display reticulate venation, and you can see reticulate venation here also. The appearance of the branches, the pattern of branching, all of these remind you of a typical angiospermic trees. The only thing is that the gnetophytes do not form fruits. And remember, by definition, gymnosperms are seed plants which do not bear fruit. And thus, the seeds are considered to be naked. Gymno literally means naked. Sperma means seed. Naked seed means seed without enclosure of fruit. Do not get confused by these red structures which you can see here. They are not fruit. They are outer fleshy part of the seed itself. The gnetophytes are represented by two more genera. Those two genera, apart from Gnetum, you can see on your screen right now. On the top you have Ephedra, and this one is Welwitschia. So Welwitschia is endemic to Africa in Namibia and some adjoining countries, and Ephedra you can find at many places in the world, and Ephedra is also one of the medicinally important gymnosperm. Gnetum is well studied because of its resemblances to angiosperm, and at one point of time there was actually a theory on Gnetum being the ancestor of angiosperm, but today that theory does not get much attention. The superficial resemblances apart, when we compare the genetic sequences between the gnetophytes and the modern day basal angiosperm, we do not find much genetic similarity, and that tells us that gnetophytes cannot possibly be the ancestor of angiosperm. After gnetophyte, the last group of surviving gymnosperm is Gingophyta. When you write Gingo, so there is a K in the spelling, but this K goes silent. So when you pronounce it, you pronounce Gingo, but after N there is a K. Gingo is represented by a single species. So if you consider this division or phylum Gingophyta, Gingophyta is represented by a single species that is known as Ginkgo biloba. Biloba name comes from the leaf. If you see, the leaf has got clearly bilobed structure because of this central fissure, because of this central segmentation. Hence the name Ginkgo biloba. In the central panel, you can see Ginkgo biloba tree. It is densely leafy and it has almost a conical crown. That's Ginkgo biloba. Ginkgo biloba is present in China, many parts of China, Japan, Eastern Asia, and also along the Pacific coast of North America, especially in the state of California of United States of America. So that is how the Gingophyta are distributed, but because it is represented by a single species, it is known as a living fossil also. Now here on your panel you have the syllabus. When you look at the syllabus, this is the raw form in which the UPSC has given you the syllabus. You can pretty well pause this video at this point and you can read the syllabus by taking your own time. But more meaningfully, we have to reorganize our syllabus, and this is how we reorganize. The syllabus can be broken into two parts: the paleobotanical topics and then a survey of extant gymnosperm. Extant is the opposite of extinct. So the surviving taxa are called extant, and those taxa where no surviving member exists today is known as extinct. So in the paleobotanical part, you have to study certain basic aspects of paleobotany. For example, what are fossils, what are the types of fossil, how do we extract the fossil, how do we study, so on. And apart from that, you have to study geological time scale plus certain extinct groups. Let's take a look on what all extinct groups that you have to study. So you have to study progymnosperm. They were essentially woody ferns, which are widely accepted as the ancestor of gymnosperm. And then you have to study three groups of proper gymnosperms. They were seed plants, but they are now extinct. So the oldest among them is Cycadophyllocales. So Cycadophyllocales are also called pteridosperms, and that group is amongst the oldest of the gymnosperm. Another group that you have to study is Bennettitales. Bennettitales is also known as Cycadioidales. Whether you call it Cycadioidales or you call it Bennettitales, you are talking about the same group. That is the second extinct group that you have to study. And the third extinct group that you have to study, as you can see on the board, is Chorditales. Chorditales are accepted as the ancestor of the modern day conifers. So that is exactly how you have to study the paleobotanical topics. So study geological time, study geological time scale, fossils, and then four fossil groups: pteridosperms, that is Cycadophyllocales, Bennettitales, and Chorditales, plus progymnosperm. Among the extant group, the same extant group that we have just now surveyed, so Cycadophyta, Pinophyta, Gnetophyta, and Gingophyta. The syllabus asks you to study the salient features, reproduction, structure. But we are going to see that in each group there are certain important aspects that the UPSC question setters like to ask, rather love to ask year after year. Let's first start with paleobotanical topics. So when you look at the paleobotanical topic, and I'll go full screen again. So when you look at paleobotanical topic, the first topic is progymnosperm. Important thing to understand about the progymnosperm is that they were not true gymnosperms. They were woody ferns, and very certainly they are ancestor to gymnosperms. In this, you have to study the discovery of progymnosperm, where you have to study Charles Beck's progymnosperm theory. So I'm writing progy theory. You have to tell the entire sequence which fossil Charles Beck was studying and what was the observation of Charles Beck and how did Charles Beck hypothesize about the ancestry of progymnosperm and how correct was his hypothesis regarding the ancestry of gymnosperm. All of this. Then you need to do salient features. Then evolutionary timeline. So when you are doing evolutionary timeline, be sure you have to mention when do we see the earliest fossils, what was the peak of this group, and when this group started to decline. All of these will have to be mentioned in the evolutionary timeline. Then you have to learn its diversity. What were the three orders which are well known to the scientists from this group? Apart from that, its importance. How this group is important in evolutionary terms. Once you are done with these 6 subtopics, you are in quite comfortable situation to handle almost any question on progymnosperm. But you have to do a type study also. That type study is going to be the tree Archaeopteris. So Archaeopteris is a very well studied member of this group progymnosperm. In this group, it was actually Archaeopteris which Charles Beck was studying, and based on the studies of Archaeopteris, Charles Beck gave his progymnosperm theory of gymnospermous origin. So in this there are two questions. The first question is going to be a general one, and in general question you need to deal with these 6 aspects. Sometimes the general question can ask you about the discovery and salient features. Sometimes it can ask you about the progymnosperm theory, its diversity and importance. But the general question is always going to include 3 or 4 aspects from these 7 aspects. Plus, second question that you have to prepare is Archaeopteris. When you are writing an answer on Archaeopteris, you will be writing first its taxonomy, and that is going to apply to any fossil genus that you are explaining. So its taxonomy, its evolutionary timeline, when do we see its fossil, when do we see the peaking of the fossil, and when do we see the decline of its fossils. Then its structure, finally its known aspects of reproduction, and eventually its importance. And in this a figure must also be drawn, and that will be the description format for any other fossil, because later we are going to study a few more fossils, and you are going to notice that everywhere we are going to follow the same pattern. Once you are done with concept of progymnosperm, you will move to other groups: Cycadophyllikeles, Bennettiteles, and Chorditeles. In all these groups, this is what you are going to study. So remember, this format is going to be extremely vital when you are doing the study of fossils. So give me a moment please, and we are going to see so these general topics are applicable to all the fossil groups. That is, who discovered Cycadophyllikeles, who was the discoverer. So not necessarily Charles Beck, because everywhere you cannot have Charles Beck. So essentially the discovered genus, with which genus we could establish the group. Then you will come to salient features, evolutionary timeline, diversity, and importance. Plus, in each group there are certain fossil types which are going to be important. And remember, when you are doing fossils, you are going to follow the same format that you have applied to Archaeopteris. So what is the format that we have applied to Archaeopteris? We have applied the format that first we are going to do the taxonomy, and after doing taxonomy we are going to do evolutionary timeline. After doing evolutionary timeline, we are going to do the salient features regarding the structure, and after structure you are going to discuss reproduction, and finally evolutionary importance. So all the fossil type study that you are going to do from these groups are also going to follow the same pattern that you had adopted for Archaeopteris. But the question arises, what are the fossil groups, fossil specimens that you have to study? So that I am going to tell you. So this is the list that you have to study. So first, in Cycadophyllikeles, you study Lygenopteris, and second is medullosa. Next, in Bennettitellis, you are going to study two fossil types. One is Williamsonia. Williamsonia holds special significance for India because it was one of the excellently reconstructed fossils of its time, and it was done by none other than the Indian paleobotanist Dr. Birbal Sahni. Apart from that, you have to do Cycadioidea. And in Cycadioidea, you have to study a structure that is often known as its flower. Although it is not a proper flower, but still it is called flower. Sometimes it is known as bisexual strobilus. It means one and the same thing. If you scan through the past question, you will see a number of questions being asked on exactly this dimension. So you have to prepare. Apart from a general account of Cycadioidea, you also have to do in some detail its strobilus. In Chordatellis, there is no fossil genus as such which is very important, but if you can do Chordates, that is a good genus to study as a specimen. So that is all about the fossil specimen, and whenever you are doing a fossil specimen, you are going to follow this format of coverage. So follow this format of coverage, make good crisp notes with good quality diagram, and that will be all. The UPSC is not going to ask you anything beyond that. Moving next, let us see. So here we are. Geological time scale. Geological time scale is a fairly straight question. They only give you an open-ended short note on geological time scale, and here you simply need to define what is geological time scale, give a little bit of its history, and then what is most important to be remembered here is geological time scale table. So in geological time scale table, you are going to basically talk about the vegetational history of a particular period. Basically, the plant world originated during the Ordovician, and from the Ordovician, the plant world has been increasing in its diversity as well as complexity. So during the Ordovician, we see the origin of bryophytes almost 50 million years ago. Then in the Silurian, we see the origin of pteridophytes about 420 million years ago. After that, we see around 365 million years ago, that was late in the Devonian, the origin of gymnosperm. Then onwards, the gymnosperms dominated through the Carboniferous as well as all the stages of the Mesozoic, that is Triassic, Jurassic and Cretaceous. Angiosperms originated in the Cretaceous, and post-Cretaceous the angiosperm have been spreading. That is just the top level view of what geological time scale in terms of vegetational history will look like. But you need to give much more detail than this. So your table, its quality will be the determinant how much marks the examiner gives you in this question. So when you are doing this, do it from the best of the textbooks. Do not go for the geological time scale which are available on the net. They are often very different from what you get from a standard textbook. So rely on a good textbook for geological time scale. The next topic is fairly straight again, the types of fossils. So define here what is the fossils, how they are formed, and what are the main types of fossils. So here two types of questions are going to be asked. First about fossils. So here what they are, their types and their mode of formation. Second, study of fossils. So how do we extract fossils? How do we prepare it for studies? And finally, its study. So what are the methods that we apply to its study, and what is the importance of such studies? So there are two types of questions possible from this topic, and that will be all. After you have done this, you have completely covered the paleobotanical topics. Then you can come to the extant groups, and here you have to deal with classification and distribution of gymnosperm. Classification, they do not ask in deep, so you just need to know what are the 4 divisions or phyla, and second, prepare a short note, tabular comparison among the 4 divisions. So these are the 2 things that you need to prepare. So far as distribution is concerned, distribution should be done with individual groups. So when you are doing Cycadophyta, cover the distribution of Cycadophyta then and there only. Same will apply to Coniferophyta, Gnetophyta and Gingophyta. So start with Cycadophyta. Although the syllabus asks you to study Cycadales, but you have to study Cycadophyta in detail. Here, what are the important aspects? First, features of Cycadophyta and distribution of Cycadophyta and evolutionary history of Cycadophyta. After that, from the life history of Cycas, the genus, you have to do its structure. A short note can be asked. You have to do the leaf structure and anatomy. In other words, leaf morphology and anatomy. Then you have to do vascular anatomy. Prepare a short note on coralloid roots. Prepare a short note on bulbils. Then the male and female cones and the process of reproduction. So these are the things that you are going to do under the genus Cycas. Each dimension that I have mentioned has been asked in the examination as a short note, so ignore nothing. All of them are going to be important. Next one is Gingoales. So Gingoales are considered to be primitive because their members produce motile sperms. Therefore, Gingoales in your syllabus find a space just after Cycadales, because Cycadales are also primitive. They also produce motile sperms, but there are so many differences between Gingoales and Cycadales. Gingoales in their structure, in their appearance, and also in their wood formation are pretty much like conifers. But at the same time, in some aspects, they are primitive, hence this place. In Gingoales, these are the things that you will be asked. You should be knowing its distribution. It can be asked as a tail query to you. Apart from distribution, you have to discuss why it is known as living fossil. Gingoales are called living fossils. Why? This is an important question. Second, its comparison with cycads. And third, its comparison with conifers. Apart from that, the genus Gingo, its structure. Second, wood anatomy. Third, reproductive structures. Fourth is reproductive process. So these 4 plus 3, 7 topics are to be studied for Gingo, and that will be all. These comparisons are more frequently asked. Oftentimes they have also asked why Gingo is a living fossil. and only once in a while they will be asking reproductive structure and reproductive process. One of the interesting comparisons to be asked will be to differentiate between wood anatomy of ginkgo and cycads, or differentiate between wood anatomy of ginkgo and conifers. Between ginkgo and conifers, there is a great deal of similarity in wood anatomy, still there are certain distinctiveness. When you are studying, pay attention to these distinct points as well. Then you will be coming to the most diverse and the biggest group of gymnosperm, that is Coniferalis. In Coniferalis, the type genus is going to be Pinus. In Pinus, its distribution has to be done at world level and within India also. What are the species of Pinus that we find in India, and where in the Himalayas or in the Nilgiris also, where do we find Pinus species? Besides general account of a structure, then the Pinus needle, its morphology as well as anatomy. Then Pinus wood anatomy. Here you are going to discuss the wood formation as well as wood features. Then you are going to discuss cones. So how does the female cone look like? How does the male cone look like? And how are they formed? So development of male cone, development of female cone, what is their morphological nature, so on. And lastly, the reproductive process. And in the reproductive process of any genus, pay special attention to the process of gametophyte formation. Apart from these aspects of Pinus which have routinely been asked in the examination, you are also going to study some general features of conifers. In general features of conifers, you are going to study their salient features, their evolutionary history, then their comparison with cycads, ginkgos, and also Nitales. So these are the things that you have to study about conifers. So in conifers, your focus is going to be on Pinus, the genus, and then there are a few general topics about conifers. After that, the last group is Nitales. Nitales is just an order within Gnetophyta. Gnetophyta has got three orders: Nitales, Ephedralis, and Welwitziales. If you recall, in one of the earlier slides, I will take you back to that slide again, and you will be seeing that here we saw Nitales. Give me a moment. So here we saw Netum, the plant, and then in the later slide we saw Ephedra and Welwitschia. So each one of these three are one order within the division Gnetophyta. So you have got Nitales, number 1, number 2, Ephedralis, and number 3, Welwitziales. Here the type studies will include two: Netum and Ephedra. Once in a rare while they have asked the leaf structure of Welwitschia, but Welwitschia you can consider almost unimportant, but Netum and Ephedra should be prepared. In Ephedra only a general account, so nothing more than that. But when it comes to Netum, in Netum you have to study quite a few features. So first and foremost, in Netum you discuss its strobilus structure, and once in a while a strobilus structure will be asked as flower structure. Okay, so don't get confused. UPSC, whether it asks a strobilus structure or if it asks the flower structure, it means one and the same thing. So prepare this topic very nicely, because It is one of the frequently repeated questions. Apart from that, you also have to do similarities to angiosperms. So prepare the whole list of topics, why and how Needham is similar to angiosperm, but still why today's botanists do not accept Needham as the real ancestor to angiosperm. So both the aspects, why it is considered close, and then what are the reasons why we still do not consider it the ancestor to angiosperm. So that will do a good justice to this topic. And once you have done these two aspects of Needham, that will be all you will be asked on Needham, plus a general account of Ephedra needs to be done. Once you are done with all these topics, you can say that you have covered very well the extant groups also. There are only 4 extant groups and you have covered. But now the question arises, where should you cover it from? 2 sources. One of the excellent textbooks that you have got in this field is written by Dr. Moitra and Dr. Bhatnagar. So this is arguably the best gymnosperm textbook written by any Indian set of authors. And even I would say, when I compare it to gymnosperm textbooks written by international author, I would say this book is still, it can still be said to be an extremely high quality book. So if you have time, if you have a background in the subject enough to go through this dense but very, very useful book, make use of this book. If you want only examination oriented to the point coverage of gymnosperm, covering all the dimensions that I have covered, and you don't want to spend more time on gymnosperm, go for evolution's study material that I have prepared on gymnosperm. This one is tailored to meet the needs of Indian Forest Service and Civil Service main examination. We have made sure that we are not adding anything extra. If you want to go through the extra deep reading, you must not be reading any notes, but you should be going for a good textbook. And here is your textbook, that is Moitra and Bhatnagar. And if you are interested in not spending any extra time but getting very high quality exam oriented coverage, go for evolution's notes. So the choice should be very clear to you. I have given you merits and limitation of both of these. You have to pick up one that meets your need and you have to be working on it consistently. You should be taking not more than a week's time to cover gymnosperm the way I have explained. Once you have done it, it is something that is going to give you at least 2 or maybe even 3 short note in a given year. And when you get 3 short note, its weightage rises to 50 out of 250. That is 20% of your overall weightage of the Civil Service main examination paper. So that way, given its small syllabus, it commands a very good heft, a very good weightage in the actual examination. This is an area where you should be investing your energy, and this energy investment will not be going waste. So on that note, I would sign off in this video, in this discussion. I will be meeting you next week with the next area, that is going to be plant anatomy and plant embryology. I will be clubbing both these small areas in one video in the next week. Till then, goodbye and good luck to all of you with your studies. Stay safe.